Joining me up here today is Sarah Joy Goode, who played the night hag under all that makeup. And she played Zoe in the final segment, Gorgeous. And we have Gordo himself here, the maniacal Stuart Bentley. So, I'm sure you're not here to ask me many questions. If you have questions, ask away.
Thanks for having us today, too.
It's great to be here.
Kevin? Okay, well, what I did
What did you do?
was I met Herschell Lewis, who was going to be a guest at a horror convention. And I was a guest booker for the con. And one day I got a text, and it was from a fellow who said, "Would you like Herschell Lewis to come to the convention?" And I said, "Well, hell yes." So I got on the phone with Mr. Lewis, never thinking that this would be the start of a working relationship and an enduring friendship. Indeed, I feel very lucky to have had Mr. Lewis in my life. He was kind of not many people know that he was a marketing genius, intelligent. He taught school for many years. He had a love for English literature. And so we embarked on this journey together. And that what you see is the result. And Herschell he never told me his true age. He always was about 4 years younger. So when Herschell was in Calgary directing, he was actually 90 years old. So I'm happy to report that the BloodMania Special Edition Blu-ray is going to be released in May worldwide with a lot of behind-the-scenes featurettes and interviews with cast and that kind of thing, commentaries. So look for that. We have a lot of BloodMania merchandise that's going on for sale in the room, autographed Herschell Lewis products. Sarah, why don't you play two roles? Why don't you describe each of them?
Well, I got a call from this gentleman saying, "We need someone who's willing to be unpretty. You can't be glamorous. This is not a glamorous role, and nobody wants to play it because it's hard. You got to crawl on all fours and look like a monster." And I was like, yes, this is all I've ever wanted in acting, is just to be gross. And so I was so excited by that role and the physicality it took. It was a really fun week. Herschell was such a gentleman. There was one point, I'm pretty much naked, wearing nothing but a massive yak's wool wig and trying not to sweat off my makeup. But I end up in this little room that just had me out of the way while they're doing some filming, and then suddenly I'm in there alone with Herschell Lewis. And he's like, "Well, hello, young lady. How are you today?" "I'm doing very fine, sir." And I'm trying to have this polite conversation. I've got shark teeth and yellow eyes and these claws, but what a gentleman. I'd be trying to chat with people and they'd be trying to look away from me. It was a lot of fun.
Well, you were freaky.
It was great.
We were shooting in a friend's home. He was gracious enough to allow us to film there. And after Sarah gets out of makeup, which was about, a 3-hour makeup?
Oh, the first day it was 6 hours.
6 hours.
And then 2 hours to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it got quicker. They got it down, they honed it down to 4 hours by the last day. But yeah, I had to be there at 6 a.m. to get into that makeup to start shooting at 1 p.m.
So I was looking at some props we were going to be using on a kind of a kitchen counter. And Sarah comes walking up and she's joking with me and laughing and stuff. And it was just creepy to see her with that face.
You kept backing away from me, and then finally you snapped a picture. This is what I'm talking to. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just me. Yeah. No, that was fun. It was fun to play that role, and then to be glamorous in the week afterwards was a very weird turnaround for me. Like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you, Stuart, tell us about the scene where you stabbed Sarah in the eye?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I mean, getting the opportunity to play Gordo was I mean, it checked off a lot of bucket list items for me as an actor. I've been doing this many, many years, and I've always thought it'd be wonderful to be in a horror movie and to be the bad guy and to kill people, and then I'm finding out, I get to kill this chick in a shower, and it's just going to be nuts. And on the day, you and Aaron had been in the shower for like a couple of hours shooting that scene, and you had drained the hot water tank. So it was down to like room temperature, cold water was coming out of there by the time we're shooting. And we're trying to figure out how, we're going to get the camera angles and get this working right. And it was getting like weird and cold and clammy and steamy in there. You were freezing. And every time that we had a chance to break was like, I just dropped everything. I said, quick, give me your robe. And I'm getting the robe on you because you were freezing. Yeah. And it was just a blast. You were in makeup for about 2 hours getting the eye gag put on so that it would spray blood.
I actually fell asleep. That was when I got my power nap. And they said, we're so glad you fell asleep because you didn't even twitch. It was good.
I took a couple pictures. She's laying down on the floor while they're doing makeup. She's sleeping and taking pictures. It was an absolute joy to work on this film. There were some long days. The epic chase scene, which I like to think of as the most incredible chase scene ever filmed, was at about 1:30 in the morning after a very long day, and I thought, this is insane. This is so funny, and we're shooting this, and I'm going, Gordo knows what's going on, so he's just maniacal about it. So I'm laughing on the thing as I'm chasing her. I'm like, I've had enough of this. I gotta go kill this bitch. And when I finally saw the final edit, and saw how well it had come out, I was like so happy, because I really think that's the looniest chase that's ever been filmed here.
It was certainly a first in horror history. When we initially came up with the idea, there was a script that Herschell had written called Mr. Bruce and the Gore Machine, also known as the Stainless Steel Butcher. But it was written in the 70s, and it would have required so much rewrites that we didn't think it was worth it, but we had people interested in financing the movie. And then it kind of got, as so many deals do in this industry, kind of got kiboshed by somebody's interference. So we waited a couple of months, and I was sitting at a horror movie screen. And they had a little short feature at the beginning of the film, and it wasn't all that good, to be perfectly honest. But I thought somebody's got to be able to do better. And that night I came up with the idea for my script, The Attack of Conscience. So I ran it past Herschell, and Herschell loved the idea. He said, yeah, okay. Because I think he realized at his age that these grueling days, you could maybe do 2 of the segments. And in fact, when we were discussing prior to his passing, shooting BloodMania 2, there is going to be a BloodMania 2. It's called, the working title right now, the script is completed as BloodMania Carnage. But when we were in talks for that, we went after people who were totally influenced by Herschell. Eli Roth, unfortunately, couldn't do it. And Tom Holland wanted to do it, but he had prior commitments. And that's where that kind of just, one day I got the call. And but he had passed. And but fortunately, he was able to see the final cut and everything. He was very happy. And But he never told me his true age, so he was 92 when he passed. So, so we will be filming a sequel. It'll be coming. We just recently signed a new merchandising deal for, thank you, hats, shirts, pins, all that sort of thing with a company called Video Nasties. You can go to videonasties.com. They're a relatively new merchandising company. They're doing some great work. As I say, the Blu-ray is going to be released. How did you get into character for Gordon?
I put the clothes on and the chain, and that was it. That's just me, you see, up there.
I gotta say, like doing a shower scene, everybody is just like, right? They're all looking at the ceiling, they're all fascinated at the ceiling. But you were such a gentleman, because like the minute we would stop filming, you'd drop that look on your face and be like, how are you doing, Sergio? Are you okay? And yeah, took care of it. But it's okay, because I did take care of Erin too. When we have our little lesbian kiss there, she was terrified.
Yeah.
She's like, I've never kissed a girl. And I felt like, it's okay, baby, I'll take care of you. Listen to myself here as I'm like smarming up, like, it'll be fine, you're gonna like it. And I'm like, oh, but yeah. So,
Erin was amazing.
Yeah.
Erin is probably the biggest horror movie fanatic in the world, and she's a cosplayer, and she has got such style and design talent. And she had never done any acting. She had done a little, like a music video thing, that's it. And like the day before we started to shoot Gorgeous, we lost an actress. And you reached out to Erin and said, would you like to be in a horror movie? She's like, would I like to be in a horror movie? Yeah.
No, I got, Jim reached out to me because he's like, well, we can't find a fourth member of the band, and you were under so much makeup as the night hag, I don't think anyone's going to know that's you. So that's the fun reveal for you guys, is that I'm the night hag. But that feels more like my natural state to be the night hag. I miss that wig. That was a great wig.
Erin was wonderful. She was so natural on screen. She really just loved being in the moment and being part of this experience.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. And the scene where Gordo stabs her with the scissors and snips. We shot that. Those were my hands. And I know you wanted to do it really badly, but I thought, well, when am I ever
for
going to
continuity, yeah.
So we had the life cast of Erin's full body frontal. And so I'm back there with I'm looking at the camera and through the camera, and I've got a little felt pen placing the dots where it's supposed to go, because those scissors were real. And so we do the poke through, the snip, and then there was a trough underneath the abdomen, and I had actual guts, and I was pushing them through, and we go, okay, cut, and I'd take them back, and I'd push them through again, and there was some that we couldn't use because one was an intestine that looked like an erection popping up out of the stomach. And I think that's going into these special features on the Blu-ray. Speaking of erections,
oh my God, yeah.
we're shooting at another friend's home, the scene. And so we're standing around going, well, the scene calls for an erection. Did anybody bring any kind of prosthetic? And this is after, like, I've already driven across the city because nobody brought the head that's in the box at the end of the film. So it's like, no, we don't. And what was it?
Well, Kevin and James and some of the other people, Daniel, they were like trying to find something. And I was tired. And I said, okay, hang on a second. I went into the kitchen. I remembered somebody had been drinking a Red Bull. And I said, get me some gaff tape. And I made a big knob out of gaff tape and stuck it on top of the can, jammed that in my sweatpants. Said, does that work? They're going, oh yeah, that's great.
That reads well on camera, yeah.
Man. Anybody have any questions at this point? Yes.
I have a quick question. It's kind of relating to what you just said. I've worked on a couple of short films in my school, and I realized sometimes very short scenes, if you do all the right things, become massive inconveniences. So you guys remember another time on set where you had to have like a stroke of genius to get through the day?
Well, not a stroke of genius, but luck. Because we're an independent film, we didn't have as much money as we would have liked. So, for example, when we threw the dummy off of the Grey Eagle Hotel, you had one shot. Just one. And the same with the abdomen that we cut. They had to come through perfectly and snip. But dropping the, it's funny because where the body landed, I said, it's going to land right there. And well, no, it might not because of wind, and we did tests. And when we finally ended up dropping it, it was actually perfect. And you'll see this on behind the scenes of the Blu-ray as well, 3 different camera setups. The body hits, and in every single camera, the cameraman's going, oh, fuck. Shit. But you know, you got one chance. And we decided, there's the one scene in Attack of Conscience where Julie goes into the room and opens up with her little Uzi, which apparently you can buy in the United States, in Louisville. I really wanted to pay homage to David Cronenberg's opening in Scanners. So we actually took a shotgun and blew that head apart in front of a green screen. One shot, so to speak. So yeah, it was quite something to see. And actually, I think it was Travis Schuchuk who's got a booth there, and he's selling, you know, some nice little Terrifier busts for autographs and stuff. Had already had a life cast of the actor's head, so we had that, and we thought, well, let's just get the actor now. So, you know, Z.G. Hunter was happy to come on and do it, and yeah. So I don't think there was any strokes of genius that we. I'd love to tell you that, yeah, there was the stroke of genius, but more often than not, you're tired, you've been hurry up and waiting all day, and little inconvenient things, you know, you work around them.
Sometimes that comes down to directorial style as well. Herschell Gordon-Lewis was like, that's it, call it, we got the shot, and I'd be like, but I can see the gaffer is like, no, we can't, what? And then later on, that was too dark. I'm like, I know, I was there. But he just wanted to call it and move on.
Why are we shooting? Jim, why are we shooting? So we're just doing a little bit more setup. Okay, well, let's get moving. And I always said, you never hear a take 2 from me.
Yeah.
So, you know, and the problem with that is, you know, because he was in such a hurry, you miss a lot of coverage. As a filmmaker, you'll understand that. So it's hell for the editor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we have to go back and do a few little reshoots here, you know, reshoots there, and that kind of thing. But, you know, because it's an independent production and everybody, you know, really gets along, it was easy to call them back and say, look, would you come back for, you know, half an hour today? We just want to do this. We need this shot. And yeah, it worked out well. I mean, on the treadmill, those weren't Jesse's feet. Those were director Melanie Reinbold's feet.
The woman with the
they
crackers.
Were entirely different.
Yeah, those feet were shot like almost a year later in my house on my treadmill.
And the director says, yeah, we need some insert shots of her feet running. Okay. So yeah, you know, there's always something here or there that you have to do.
There was one when we were shooting the park bench scene, and then when I'm walking down the path in the moonlight with our police officer, we ran out of light, and they didn't bring any lights. And the camera battery was dying in the cold because it was really cold that day. And somebody said, we need some light because the sun is going down fast as we're walking down that path. And somebody said, well, hang on a second. And they turned on the light on their cell phone. And it created this gorgeous moonlight effect on us as we were walking. And we did that in 2 takes. We ran out of light. And that worked out beautifully well, and that was one of those stroke of genius moments because they needed something.
Yeah, I wasn't there that day. It was like, oh, we're going to shoot at magic hour. We're going to shoot at magic hour. And it's like, not so much. The evening, we used Kevin Littlelight's ranch outside of Calgary to shoot the scene with Julie in Attack of Conscience, where she's got her hand nailed and the hand tearing. Now, we didn't finish that. I think we got up to the Little Light Ranch at about 11 in the morning. We didn't finish till 6 a.m. And You know, it's funny because you realize, like, it was me actually who made a hole in the post, and, you know, I had various nails. You had the long nail that he puts against the hand, and then you have a shorter nail that gets put into the dummy hand, and the dummy hand matches, and you put on. You always, for a shot like that, have to put a ring on. You put a ring on so it fools the audience a little bit. And of course, you don't linger too long on the shot. But so we sat there, and Sonia did a really good job here. You know, she was very convincing, and she was tired, and, you know, everybody was tired. Here's a little secret. The barn on fire was an optical illusion. Dave Traynor, our special effects man, who would have loved to have been here today, he's in California right now at the Makeup Guild Awards. He's been nominated again for his work on Fargo, so I hope Dave wins. We said, well, how are we going to do this? Well, it was easy. He built a flame bar about this long and basically sealed it at one end, put holes in it for fire. We attached it to a propane tank, and it was just a matter of perspective. We had smoke machines going, and it was a cold night. We'd been up on the roof blocking off all the light from the set and everything else. And that's on the Blu-ray too, moving the hand back and forth. And somebody's pumping the blood, and it's a lot of fun. For a guy who's been a horror fan, I've been a horror fan since, I hate to say it, probably 1970 or so, as a boy. To actually participate in this, and particularly in a Herschell Lewis film, was just wild.